What if a sacred text, one revered for centuries for its spiritual guidance, also had a kind of hidden mathematical code? So today, we're going to dive into a framework called System 19, which claims to have found exactly that, a really complex mathematical architecture supposedly encoded right inside the Quran. It's a pretty radical idea, right? And that's really the central question we're going to be exploring. Now, look, we're not here to prove this or disprove it. Our job is to just unpack the system itself, to really understand its internal logic. So let's see how it supposedly works.
Okay, so let's get into the specifics. This whole thing was developed by a researcher named Rafat Tassin. And I really want to stress, this isn't just, counting words here and there. No, this is a full-fledged framework with its own very unique rules and its own logic.
So, what exactly is System 19? Well, at its core, it's a method for decoding the Quran's Arabic text, and it uses this combination of numerology, geometry, and some pretty symbolic principles. Again, our goal here is just to understand how its creator claims it all fits together.
To really get a grip on this, we've got to start with the basic rules. Like any code, it has a very specific set of principles you have to follow. So let's break down the most important ones.
All right, rule number 1, and this is the big one, is the 19-slot ceiling. Basically, any number that's larger than 19 gets reduced by adding its digits together until it fits. So you take a number like 44. You just add the digits. 4 plus 4 equals 8. Simple, right? Everything has to fit inside this closed 19-part system.
Okay, now here's where it starts to get a little more complex. According to the system, every single number has not one, but two different values. There's what's called a foundation value, and then there's a balanced value. And they're calculated differently.
So let's break that down. The foundation value, that's the simple one we just did. 44 becomes 8. But then you have the balanced value. This one's different. It adds a base of 10 to the digits. So 44 becomes 10 plus 4 plus 4, which equals 18. The system claims these two values represent an inner essence and an outer form.
Okay, the next rule is where things get a bit more abstract. It's called gender architecture. In this framework, numbers aren't just numbers. They have symbolic properties. Odd numbers are seen as masculine. They're the active, projecting message. Even numbers are feminine, the receptive vessel that kind of holds the message. It's a symbolic layer, but as you'll see, it becomes pretty important later on.
So, we have all these rules for the numbers, but the big question is, how do we get the numbers from the text in the first place? Well, that's where the alphabet map comes into play.
Basically, the system takes all 28 letters of the Arabic alphabet and assigns each one home inside those 19 slots we talked about. Every single letter from Alif to Ya gets a specific number between 1 and 19. And this is the real engine of the text-to-number conversion.
But it gets even more layered. You have this concept of family faces, where certain letters are grouped together as like harmonic multiples of a base number. So for example, in the slot 11 family, the letter Sin is 11, but Shin is 22, which reduces to 4, and Tha is 33, reducing to 6. The system sees them as related, like echoes of that original base slot.
The creator of this system uses this really powerful metaphor to describe what he considers the most dynamic part of the system, the mirror principle. The idea is that this isn't just some static, dead code. It's designed to have an engine that actually drives it.
And at the absolute heart of that engine is the mirror pair of 12 and 21. The system connects the number 12 to the Arabic word al, which means a word of affirmation, of definition. Its mirror, 21, is linked to la, meaning no, a word of negation. This pair is supposedly the fundamental polarity that powers the whole structure.
Okay, so let's recap. We've got the 19-slot limit, the two ways to calculate, the alphabet map, and this mirror idea. Let's try to put it all together now and apply it to a specific verse from the Quran just to see how the system actually works in practice.
So for our test case, we're going to look at what's called the Solomon letter from chapter 27, verse 30. Now this verse is really unique. It's the only place in the entire Quran where the opening phrase, the Bismillah, is embedded right in the middle of the story, which makes it a key case study for people who use this system.
So, the first thing the system points out is just a simple letter count. The verse is supposedly structured perfectly. The first part, the intro from Solomon, has exactly 14 letters. Now remember that gender architecture? 14 is a feminine number, the container or door. The second part, the Bismillah itself, has exactly 19 letters, a masculine number, the content or path.
But of course, the analysis goes way deeper than that. When you take every single one of the 33 letters in that verse, convert them to their number value using that alphabet map, and then add all those values together, the grand total is 190.
So, why 190? What's so special about that number? Well, remember that very first rule we talked about, the 19-slot ceiling? 190 just happens to be the sum of every single number from 1 all the way up to 19. In this framework, that's known as the complete system seal. It's like a mathematical signature locking the whole verse together.
Okay, after seeing an example like that, the obvious question is, so what? I mean, why go through all this trouble? According to the system's proponents, what is the actual point?
Well, the claimed applications are pretty ambitious. Could it be used to, say, verify if an ancient manuscript is the real deal, completely unaltered? Or maybe uncover hidden connections between different chapters that happen to share numerical patterns? Proponents of the system believe it can do all of that, and maybe even map the entire mathematical design of the text.
And this quote from the original research, it really sums up the whole mindset here. It presents the system not as an answer, but as a tool, a key, that's been specifically designed for what it claims is a mathematically constructed lock.
And that really leaves us with the big question, the one you have to ask yourself. When we see these incredibly complex numerical systems, where do we draw the line? What is the difference between a deeply meaningful, intentional pattern and what might just be a truly remarkable coincidence? That's definitely something to think about.